Saturday, 6 a.m. The Comox Valley SAR base has received a call about a missing subject. The day before, Hector, a 64-year-old hiking enthusiast, went out for a hike somewhere in the area. When he didn't arrive home for dinner, family and friends became worried and reported him missing. An overnight search by RCMP located and identified his vehicle in the early morning hours at the Paradise Meadows trailhead near Mount Washington. Search and rescue head out to where the subject's vehicle is located at a parking lot near the entrance to a number of trails in Strathcona Park. But with no detailed information about where Hector may have gone, the SAR manager has enlisted the help of a very powerful resource at his disposal: the BC Tracking Association.
We're going to send Team 1 into the vehicle first.
The main reason that ground search and rescue managers call trackers in is so we can establish the direction of travel.
By having trackers go in and establish direction of travel, search managers can actually look at a topographical map and see where the most natural places for people to walk.
A lost subject can travel at an average pace of 3 kilometers per hour, which continually increases the size of the search area. By establishing a direction of travel and considering the most likely areas a person would walk, a search area this big can be narrowed down to focus on an area this big.
Okay, Team 1, you ready? Okay, single line.
The team will start tracking the subject from the point last seen, his vehicle.
Initially, the trackers go to the point last seen, or the last known position of the lost person. What they're looking for is the tracks of the person leaving the vehicle. Once they establish the tracks, they can follow it and establish the direction of travel.
Kind of in the center, like right at the very back.
The first tracker team on site will go in single file and they'll drag their sticks. Basically, they're trying to leave the least amount of contamination possible, and subsequent tracking teams can come in on that line and not damage any of the area.
Tracking teams will also know that any tracks on or near the line are theirs and not the subject's.
Tracking Team 2, this is Tracking Team 1. We've arrived at the vehicle and we have found Prime.
Upon arriving at the vehicle, the trackers find sign and tape it off for protection. With the track marked, the team takes detailed measurements of the print, from the heel to the toe, the width of the ball of the foot in the heel, and the length of the heel. They also draw all of the different patterns, lug marks, and depressions of the tread. The term lug is used to describe a shoe's tread pattern left in the dirt.
The reason that trackers draw a footprint instead of take a photograph of the footprint is so it imprints it on the brain. We're looking at that footprint and we're trying to see every possible detail. And if we don't draw that, we won't see that.
The sketch and measurements are then compared to the known size and brand of the subject's shoes, as well as any other information gathered from interviews with family and friends. With the print sketch complete, the teams set their tracking sticks to the subject's stride length and footprint size.
One of the things we do when we're tracking is to identify the stride length. The stride length is the distance between the toe of one foot and the heel of the next. By putting this down on top of the footprint that we can find, we can actually pivot our stick back and forth and figure out roughly where the next footprint should be. And sometimes this is really the only way that we can actually figure out where the next footprint's going to be. It's just basically a direction of travel device.
With teams 1 and 2 now both armed with print sketches and tracking sticks set to Hector's stride length and footprint size, they set compass bearings and proceed with the tracking of the missing subject.
We've drawn our track cards up now. Where would you like us to cut for you?
With 2 tracking teams working on this search, they employ a system called cutting. Cutting is a common practice, with tracker teams searching ahead while one stays on prime. If one of the sign-cutting teams finds a new prime sign, they become the primary team, and the other team leapfrogs ahead, and so on. This speeds up the search and helps to continually refine the subject's direction of travel.
What it does is it creates a very fast, fluid motion, so you can actually catch up to somebody that might be hours or literally days ahead.
10:30 a.m. The trackers are well into their search for the missing subject. Since they started, they have come about 3 kilometers from the point last seen. Heavy rainfall has made the prints less visible.
You got anything over there, Janice?
Nothing.
Most people, when they think of tracking, think of these beautiful, perfect, pristine prints. That's not the case at all. Sometimes the clues are very sparse.
I think I've got one right here. What do you see? You can see how it's all compressed down here.
Trackers often use a flashlight, which makes the lugs more visible. Along with searching for tracks, the team looks for other signs of the subject.
It's not uncommon for people that are walking through the bush to make other disturbances. We call it high sign when they actually break branches or anything from, say, the knees to the shoulders.
We've got a fresh break here, definite sign of passage. If I wanted to age this, we can take that branch and break it and compare, but I can tell you, looking at this one, this happened very recently. Other things we're looking for is a branch on the ground may scuff some of the bark off, in fact break the twig or branch, and we can have a closer look at that. Moss leaves a nice compression in it. Even if the moss is returned, we can put our hands in and we can feel that compression in the soil underneath the moss.
Tracker Team 1, Team 2, we have prime sign, over.
Though the trackers cover a lot of ground, they still haven't caught up to Hector. His tracks have cut back towards the southeast. 4:20 p.m. Moving through the woods, the team regularly calls out for him. With daylight fading and the rain continuing to fall, Team 2 hears a faint response to their calls. Minutes later, they have located the missing subject. Hector is responsive, but cold and wet from exposure to the elements. He had gone out for an afternoon hike and became lost when a thick fog blanketed the area. Unsure of his direction, he had wisely decided to stop walking and wait for help to arrive. But Hector was poorly equipped to spend another night outside in the woods. Before the team can get him out, they assess his health and check for injuries. He's in fairly good shape, just stiff and cold.
Command, Tracker Team 2, over.
Team 2 reports in to the SAR base. The subject is able to walk with assistance, and they will rendezvous with Tracking Team 1 on their way out.
Something to tell my grandchildren, yeah.
BC Tracking Association members are dedicated to perfecting their skills in order to find missing subjects in even the most difficult and challenging terrain that British Columbia has to offer.